Morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another Morning Coffee Talks. Hey, recently I feel like I've really been expanding my message, and I feel like it's really been catering to a lot of single men. But obviously, this the husband code, and I want to be able to tap into them as well because I want to show them why it's important, or why marriage still exists in a positive way, right? Because obviously I'm married and things like that, and a lot of other men as well. So I don't want to sit here and be like it's hopeless. I just think that it's a strategy behind it. I think that it's important to know the right way to go about it and to find the right person, right? But the thing about it is, my core of everything I do is gonna still stem back to marriage. And I think that it's important in the grand scheme of things to understand why married men will be and are successful than most single men, right? And if you ever noticed that most of the world's most like powerful men throughout time and even now, when it comes to like presidents, billionaires, CEOs, founders, men of high value in the community, you can look at most pastors who they're married, right? Um, there's something about marriage. And I think it's not by accident that all of these men of high status, of high financial gain as well, are married. But obviously, when it's done right, I feel that it really can transform a man, right? And if you're a man out there still wondering whether marriage will slow you down or if it lifts you up, then I really want to unpack it for you today. I really want to, dive deep into kind of some concepts about it, right? So, for instance, like for me, I have my purpose when it comes to my goals, right? But I think just overall life, I think that men and women are designed to be together, right? And then when you come together with someone special, and someone who brings value, someone who has meaning for you, marriage will give you purpose outside of yourself. A single man can wake up every day and make decisions based only on what he wants. And that freedom does sound good. I remember it, I was like, man, I can just do what I want to do, deal with who I want to deal with. But until it becomes a distraction, right? That freedom can become a distraction. But when you're married, especially, when you have a family, your actions really, really carry weight. Every move that you make counts. And so you're no longer just waking up and worried about you. Your mind state is on legacy, right? I think, and this was what separate the boys from the man, which is purpose. And so you really stop, you really get away from this mentality, and you stop asking, what do I want? And you start asking, like, what do we need? And I think that's just very powerful. I feel that structure in a man's life equals success. But obviously, success requires discipline. And I think discipline thrives in structure, right? I'm a very systematic thinking man, right? I'm a numbers guy. You can call me that. I'm like, I gotta see the numbers. It's gotta make sense. Now I that's me on my that's me on this reality thinking. Obviously, I'm a very God loving man, right? So I know that there are things that I don't understand outside of my mind, and I just have to trust in God that it'll work out. But even then, in my mind, if I know how I'm designed, I know that there's structure behind that. I think there's a bigger design, so there's a structure, there's a system behind everything, right? But again, so discipline, thrives in that structure. Discipline strives in that system. And then when it comes to marriage, especially when it's healthy, it provides that structure, right? You kind of have a rhythm, when you wake up, when you eat, how you operate, who you come home to. There's a system rolling, right? And I think for me, when it's chaos, I don't feel free, right? I feel like I'm holding on for dear life. I feel like I'm kind of a slave to it because it's controlling me. Chaos is controlling me. I'm not controlling it. And so when I have discipline, when I have structure, that's actually frees me. I feel like my mind is actually more free to focus on high level thinking, right? Because things can just flow. It's not like going all over the place. And I think I heard this quote, and it's kind of like, again, success is a language, right? And I feel like overall, a lot of successful men have said this, but there's a particular quote. I forget who it's from, but having stability at home allows me to take bigger risks in business. And I think that's from Warren Buffett, if I'm not mistaken. But why? Because, you know, it's a foundation of security. And especially when it comes to women, but also for men too. We need that security too because we need to make sure our bag is right. Right? We need to make sure the money is tight. And here's the thing: when your foundation is secure, right, your home is a home, and it's peaceful. You don't have to waste energy on chasing validation, chasing women or managing drama, man. You just don't. And so that even brings me to this next point, right? The right wife becomes your solid business partner. And behind every great man is a woman who believes in him when he's broke, when he's tired, when he's frustrated, when he's doubting himself. And she's not running your businesses per se. She's helping you keep your mind in the game. This is the type of woman you want. This is the type of woman you need, right? They're in it because they see value in you, not financially, but they see, okay. And again, we've already broke this down over, multiple videos. I think the sentiment has always been the same, right? Women want to be provided for, they want to be protected, right? Men want peace in their life. And so if you can provide that for a woman, then I think that really opens her up into her femininity and it helps you. And it becomes, like, especially if she's smart too, right? It's a solid business partner. They're going to make sure that they're watching your back when you can't turn around and when you're looking forward towards your goal, right? Listen, again, they're going to watch those blind spots, man. They're going to celebrate the big wins and the small wins in your life. And a lot of times they keep you level. So like they're really gonna be the ones, if they're a good woman, right? They're gonna be the ones to remind you, who you are, especially when the world's against you, especially when the world's forget. You don't, man. And here's the thing: you don't need a cheerleader. What you need is a real teammate, a real partner. And I think that in the right marriage, that can give you that, right? Kind of tapping back into these high level men when it comes to like presidents and billionaires, right? I don't feel like they just lucky, man, right? When you look at and y'all can like him or not, but when you look at Barack, right? I gotta say, without Michelle keeping him grounded, he wouldn't. I don't want to take credit away from him because he's a smart guy, right? But I just think the right woman just take you to the next levels, man. I just think they do. I think they just keep you solid when you're frustrated and stuff. I just think they take a lot of the punches that a lot of other men don't see. They kind of sometimes become a punching bag just for frustration because they like the one that's there listening, which is unfortunate, but they do. Even Warren Buffett, man, like one of the guys I think the most successful people, said, marrying a right woman was probably the best decision that he ever made. And as I'm growing into my role in marriage, I can definitely have that sentiment as well, as I'm growing. Jeff Bezos, on his rise, obviously he's, going on to another woman, but on his rise, here's the thing. I know a lot of dudes, oh, he did himself. Bro, listen, she was shooting in the gym with him. She was shooting in the gym with him. And it may not look directly like she was passing the ball, he took a shot. But when he came home from practice, right, she was there making sure he was on point, making sure that, he was doing what he needed to do kind of inadvertently, right? So that's still kind of shooting in the gym. And there's so many different examples by that. But the point is, a high level man, they just not lucky, man. They just not. There's some luck and when it comes to financial, but overall life, nah, that woman is holding them down. Because I think part of it too is, high level success requires emotional regulation. It requires a routine and support. And I think that these are like three things that marriage can often provide. And here's the thing for married men. If you want to be successful, man, obviously you can get these things through your job and stuff like that. But I think that if you want a successful marriage, the leadership starts in the home. Listen, if you can't lead a home, how can you lead a team? And when it comes to work or a company or even a nation, right? If you can't even manage your own home, like it just doesn't work, And here's the thing: when you're in marriage, when you're married, leadership is a daily action. And I spoke about this in my videos as well. It really helped you with like conflict resolution, emotional intelligence, and long-term planning, man. And I think overall with all of that, it's just sacrificing for the greater good. And I think if you can develop these skills at home, you can carry them into the world, right? And people really feel that. So, your wife can help you sharpen those traits that make you powerful in, every room you walk in, right? And it's just so important to have that. So, man, before we get out here, I just want to say this last thing. Marriage isn't easy. It's not, man. But check this out. But here's the thing. Business not easy, right? Going to your job every day is not easy. Having kids isn't easy, right? But I think the right marriage to the right woman who has the right mindset, it's a cheat code, man. I'm going to tell y'all right now, it is a cheat code, absolutely. And not only for you, but for them too, right? It really turns a man from someone trying to find himself into someone building something that lasts, man. And now I can start to see that. I think, I'll get married young. There's still remnants of you being selfish, but when you really dive in, when you really tap in with that woman, and you both can trust each other on a high level, man, it's nothing like it. It's nothing like it, you know. And so I want to say, if you are married, right, lean into that role because it matters. It really does. And if you're single, stop thinking that marriage is the end of freedom, right? Because I think that if it's done right, it's the beginning of a powerful purpose. So, listen, what y'all think? Drop a comment below. Subscribe to the Husband Code if it's your first time. If you've been watching for a while, subscribe. If you got any value from this video, hit the like button. And, hit the notification bell again because we're dropping videos like this constantly. But until next time, I appreciate y'all. Much love. Peace.